Welcome to the Rogue Recap. Hot takes, cold facts, and zero respect for the official narrative. Sit back, roll your eyes, and let's recap. Rogue style.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Rogue Recap. I was going to toss it to my boy Eric Eggers today to open the show, and he said, hell to the no. So here I am opening the show yet again. You get to hear me. My buddy Eric is here. Eric, how are you today?
It's amazing, Lynda. I know we always kind of go over these things, but like in reviewing our quite lengthy set list today, I will just say I wanted to give you some edits. I wanted to give you some notes. I was like, Lynda, what is all this fluff? But none of it's fluff. It's all like red meat, which I know for you comes from purely, non-GMO raised, all organic stuff. But these are all like very important stories. So let's go.
Yeah, I'm actually going to start. So I know we have this long list, and I appreciate you bearing with me. Every week, guys, I put together this list, and I do my best to get it to Eric with at least 5 minutes to spare, which he super appreciates. He's like, great prep time, Lynn. So yeah, today, what did I give you, about 3.5 minutes?
Hey,
I think you're going to do great.
I do my best work in 3.5 minutes, Lynda. I'm ready to go.
And we're done. Okay. So we're going to start off with a couple of things that I think are kind of crazy, but one of which is this amazing soundbite of Brandon Gill. So for those of you who know me, I love Brandon Gill. I just think this guy is not a rising star. He is a star. I mean, he's a young father, he's a husband, and this guy is at it. And what's funny about him is he's not really doing anything all that exceptional. He's looking at the testimony that's prepared by the witnesses that come before his various committee hearings, and he actually reads it, as opposed to the other 434 members of Congress who seem to be too busy screaming about illegal aliens, like Maria Salazar, who don't give a shit about American citizens, but we'll get to her in a minute. But so Brandon Gill has the director of the Smithsonian in front of his committee, and he's gone through her various memorandi and directives and all the things. And he proceeds to say to her and position her with a question that was in one of her papers, to which she answers with a very common sense answer. And he's like, oh, that's interesting, because that's in direct conflict with your own paperwork. And she's like, I honestly thought this question was better. Tim Burchett was great. Nancy Mace was great. But this was so simple, and it stole the show. Anything before I play it?
No, I just think like clips like this, it's shocking to me that you don't see more of these on. I mean, everyone's got a show, everyone's got a thing, and it's amazing that you don't see more clips like this from all these committee hearings. They really are must-see TV.
Agreed.
Is it important to be polite?
Excuse me, sir?
Is it important to be polite?
Yes, sir.
It's also interesting because the same mass action toolkit that your organization has been promoting references politeness as a defining characteristic of white supremacy culture. Ma'am, are you a white supremacist?
No, sir.
You're not. Can you help me square why your organization says that being polite is part of being a white supremacist?
I'm not exactly familiar with that passage of the Mass Action Toolkit, which is
I can show you the
one that we
passage. It's
developed.
right here.
Pardon me?
I said I just read you the passage from it.
I mean, her face, she's like,
It's amazing for several reasons. One of which is that like from the people who brought you Black people can't acquire an ID comes Black people can't be polite. So it's actually so racist in the other way that like politeness is akin to white supremacy. The good news, Lynda, like I love that we start with that clip because it immediately buoyed my mood, because I was, sometimes doing the show with you, I get a little iffy on some of these things, but I'm now assured that neither you or I are a white supremacist because neither of us are polite.
Yeah, I mean, all these years, people are like, you're so rude. I'm like, bro, I'm just trying not to be a white supremacist.
1000%.
Like, my aggressiveness it's in your favor. All right. So just stop crying about it. All right.
I mean, and honestly, we shouldn't be shocked by this, because what, if anything, is the defining characteristic of the grand wizard of the KKK, other than a well-folded napkin on his head? So
Bro,
very
so
polite,
polite.
lots of etiquette. Yeah.
Boom. I think we're done here. I mean,
Yeah,
really,
we
what
did it.
it can only.
I
we
told
can't
you,
do
3.5 minutes, and you're welcome.
And you're welcome. Well, Elon Musk obviously was also very upset by this. He posted their chart, which is so insane. And so I actually printed it out because I was like, I don't understand it. So he writes, this list is idiotic and needs to be deleted. I'm like, yes, agreed.
Yeah.
So here's just, yeah, please.
Well, I would just say, like, it's offensive. It's not just idiotic. It's idiotic and funded by our tax dollars.
100%. Which honestly, this is another thing that drives me insane is that people will say really dumb things like, it's not right to have people that are impoverished. I'm like, bro, minimum wage at Starbucks is $20. Okay. When I was a kid and I was working minimum wage, I got my working papers at, like, I don't know, 13 or 14, started working in a drugstore. I think I was making like $6. I babysat. I washed cars on the weekend. Like, that's called a hustle. It teaches you effort. These people are like, yo, I made you a latte. Okay.
Well, I will say this. Shout out to Starbucks. I recently learned that the Starbucks near my house opens at 4:30 in the morning. So, I mean, credit to them, honestly, for getting anybody to work that early. So if it takes,
well, I will tell you.
Yeah.
Here's what's interesting about Starbucks. I already don't buy Starbucks because they are so, I call it commie coffee, but which is what I've called it for years. Although, interestingly enough, the Starbucks CEO, when faced with those commie coffee rules, moved to Florida. So I'm like, interesting. Anyways, we'll put that to the side. But I just found out that their internal document for hiring, have you seen this?
No.
They were just released this week. I don't have a picture of them for the show today because it's not on the docket, but just a quick aside. It literally says that their effort is to make their workforce, both at the C-level as well as the staffers in every single franchise, be at least 40 to 50% non-white. So their goal is to turn away qualified white candidates in favor of less qualified candidates who are not white as a rule. And I'm like, okay, so not only does your coffee taste like shit, but you are shit. Okay, moving on. So anyways.
Well, I will just say, I know we have lots to get to, so we don't have time for this, but there's an there's an African-American gentleman who works the drive-thru at the Starbucks near my house. And he's so polite. He's very kind. He's very genial. And he calls me brother like all the time. He's like, hey,
you should
brother,
tell him to stop that.
Well,
he's a white supremacist.
I'm okay with it, but I was like, I might try just as an experiment to flip it around. I'm gonna start calling him brother, like, hey brother, can you get me that, and just see how it is. Like I'm gonna try on those pants for a minute and just see how much, how roomy are they,
Well, first of all, they're not roomy at all. I will tell you quite succinctly that what's interesting is things that you don't think are a big deal suddenly become a big deal. But I do think you can get away with bruh. Because
I'm going hard TH, I'm going hard R, I'm going brother.
Yeah, hey, I have a tendency to say to everyone in my life, oh, what's up, girl? That's like my thing.
Yeah, you can't.
And then one of my friends was like, that's kind of racist, right? I was like, no, that's only in your mind. I'm like, if you think it's racist, that's a you problem.
If I wanted to be racist, I'd be polite.
Yeah, duh. Thank you, Eric. Well done. So Elon Musk. This list is idiotic and needs to be deleted. Here are a few highlights from said list from the Smithsonian. Yada, yada. This is their white, quote unquote, supremacy list. Individualism and self-reliance. Racist. Nuclear family structures. Mom and dad in the home, spending time with their children. Freaking racist. White supremacy. Rational linear thinking. Okay, if you're calm and putting cohesive thoughts together, you are a white supremacist. FYI. Thank you for my tax dollars to go to this research. You're looking at it on the screen. This is one of those things that I never knew this existed until this week. And this stupid white woman is testifying before the committee to defend this. You can't defend this, ma'am. Please stop.
Yeah, well, it's a work product generated from other taxpayer-funded institutions, otherwise known as universities, right? So, I mean, this is we shouldn't be shocked, but it is good to highlight it. And good job, Brandon Gill. Good job, Elon Musk.
Yes, and I have to say, I was recently at a college orientation for one of my kids, and it was so interesting. They separate the parents and the kids. My daughter leaves, and I'm left with a bunch of other parents, right? And we're in this orientation for parents for 3.5 hours. So I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. And they've already done a bunch of things that I have found incredibly irritating throughout the morning. So I'm trying to not be that person, but it's difficult for me. And I've had very little coffee. Okay. So long story short, this woman gets up on stage and she's talking about the housing. And she's like, listen, this is going to be a big change for your kids because they're going to be living with people they don't know in some cases. They're going to have roommates and she's going through the whole thing. I'm like, okay, yeah, this makes sense to me. And she's like, and so that's what we're here to talk to you about today. My name is Jen. I go by she, her. And the other girl goes, hi, I'm Melissa. I go by she, her too. Sometimes they. And I went, oh, audibly, and they go to, oh, I'm like, you're in charge of talking to my daughter? Are you kidding me? You have to announce that you're a woman? I mean, I get it. You don't look that great. It's confusing for a lot of people. Okay, that's on you. Put a little lipstick on. It works for a lot of us. But like, ma'am,
Yeah.
this is, and the thing is, they're not supposed to have the DEI, the pronouns, right? Especially if they're a publicly funded school. This is part of the administration's mandate. But they're all doing it.
Yeah.
And they're not even hiding it. Anyways, so I told my daughter, if you ever say she, her to me, you're going to find yourself sleeping on the street. So
When it's weird, and it's weird because like it's a slippery slope. Like in 5 years, you just pray that she's still a she, her, right? And not a
Oh my
they.
God.
I mean, that's the
Let
thing.
me tell you something. I'm very lucky because we're a religious family and we actually believe in our Lord and Savior and we go to church and we know what we are. It's not confusing. But I am so worried about these kids who don't actually have parents who give a rip, and they're not checked in because you got to be checked in, like it's a real thing. But anyway, so we'll continue on our roll here of so much audio. We have another piece here from Abdul. Let me see how we say
El
his
Said.
Al Said.
Yeah.
I don't practice his name because I don't care about him, and I hope he gets hit by a bus real soon. But it's one of these.
Hey, that's
things.
not a very polite way to talk about Haley Stevens.
I know, you're welcome. At least I was gonna say you're welcome. I'm not a white supremacist, Al Said. You should be happy. But it's funny, he's kind of like Michigan's Graham Plattner because he hates America, and he recently I don't know who released this tape, but we have it here, where he's talking about the killing of the supreme leader of Iran, who is responsible not only for the deaths of thousands of Americans through proxy, as well as what they've done in their own efforts, but also in their efforts of killing their own people, which is upwards of 40,000 by internal reports from people on the ground. And he's like, okay, listen, I can't, in the debates, in commentary, I can't talk about this because a lot of people are really upset about him.
No, he said, I think the quote was like, there's a lot of people in Dearborn that are upset about this. So I don't want to talk about it. Yeah, I know. No, I'm all in on this. I've been paying a lot of attention to the Michigan stuff. I listened to all the lefty groups kind of do the hand rigging, trying to decide. And the interesting thing here is, while he is clearly trying to take pains to not offend the Dearborn community and apparently the Ayatollah sympathizers that live in the United States.
Seriously.
He's losing black voters, which I think is a similarly significant constituency in Michigan. You see Haley Stevens just got the endorsement of a number of people that I think, so it's really interesting to see how these kind of dynamics are playing out.
But then look at AOC and Bernie Sanders. I mean, first of all, I want to do a show very soon. It's going to be the AOC and me show.
Yeah.
I just want to go through the amount of things. Like when her mouth is moving, I am definitely, it hurts my head.
Yeah.
It's a lot. And people just let it go. I'm like, somebody said to me the other day that she is going to be the namesake of the 2028 for Dems. And I'm like, what?
No, it's like she's already kind of moderating a little bit. It's interesting, but so I think that's where you're just trying to channel some of this energy behind these DSA candidates, including Abdul Said, while also then trying to figure out how to kind of like be a little bit more mainstream. It's fascinating to watch.
It is. Here's the tape of Said.
This is going to destabilize the region. I also want to remind you guys that there are a lot of people in Dearborn who are sad today. So I just don't want to comment on Khamenei at all. I don't think it's worth even touching that.
Yeah, we don't want people to know that we sympathize with a world leader who was attempting to kill his own people and ours. I mean, this guy, he's just like the other scumbag running in New Jersey. I mean, these are guys who cheered on the death of Americans on 9/11. They believe in taking down, capitalism, American imperialism, quote unquote. I can't.
Dude, I mean, Hassan Piker, who I think has campaigned for Abdul Saeed in Michigan, apparently in his background said he's got called a 9/12 picture. So it's like a picture of like the World Trade Center towers on fire or something like that. It's really worth paying attention to because it's packaged. Like El Saeed, I've listened to him. He's articulate, and I don't mean that in like a Barack Obama's articulate. Look at us, we're all surprised. I mean, like, no, he's convincing, he's relatable. He has hosted a podcast, I think, for Pod Save America Network. Like he's good at it. But I think it's really interesting to then you have to kind of look at the edges to see what else is a part of this package, and because they don't lead with that, which is why a lot of people sad about the Iranian leader being dead and Dearborn has to come from hidden or recorded audio. It's not on the campaign material.
And you have people like Elizabeth Warren, who to me really is such an odd duck on so many levels. I mean, I really do have trouble with her. She has siphoned so much money from special interest lobbying groups, pharmaceutical companies throughout that entire industry. She lives a life of a capitalist. She lives a life of privilege, but somehow finds herself aligned with people who just a few years ago would have been completely stricken by the Me Too movement, or this guy who hates America. I'm like, I don't get it.
It's interesting that you use the word siphon because I think Elizabeth Warren in some ways has become a little bit like a vampire. Like she's aging, but she needs the younger blood of this next generation of socialist candidates to kind of like inject life into her. I don't think she's done running for office. I don't think she's done running for president. And I think you watch, but I think that's why she's aligned herself with some of these people.
Yeah, she's actually infuriating, but that's a different show as well. Okay, let's talk about Maria Salazar.
So we should talk about both her and Kat Cammack, right? Because they are both female Republican members of the House who have very different perspectives on foreign influence in the United States.
Agreed. So Maria Salazar is native Cuban born, came here. She used to be big talk show host, Telemundo and Univision and all the things. And I actually know her personally very well. I used to be really good friends with her and liked her a lot. And then she started pushing this Dignity Act. And the Dignity Act came to my desk a few months ago through a very good friend. And they were like, oh, we'd love your support on this and would love to know your thoughts on this. And I was like, yeah, sure. Okay, let me read it. Now, mind you, it has a very deceiving name, the Dignity Act. I'm like, oh, I wonder what this is about. Okay. So essentially, it's amnesty. And it's amnesty for people that are in specifically her district, right? Because as she clearly says in the clip we're about to play, she's like, these are my people. They're my people. You know what? Piss off. Your people are the American people. Your people are not illegal aliens who broke into the country and now live on some amount of money on which they pay no taxes, but reap all of the rewards because they don't report that income. Like, there are so many things wrong with the agenda that you're presenting. The Dignity Act of giving them citizenship without having to go through any of the hoops, any of putting all the bells and whistles on them being illegals, while all these other people are waiting in line and becoming naturalized citizens the correct way.
Yeah. Well, what does Tip O'Neill say? All politics is local, and clearly it is for Maria Salazar.
Oh my God, so well said. Yes.
Lots of people. It's funny that you say that you know her personally. I also know people that know her personally, and they have their opinion on her is less favorable than what you presented yours as having been earlier. I'd say
my opinion of her is very unfavorable now. Yes. Like I said, I knew her a while ago. And we did the hey, how are you? And I'm so grateful to be an American. I'm from a socialist country, and I was like, oh, this person really gets it. How great! Then you get in there, and it's like, oh, never mind. What happened? What happened? Anyways, this is her the other day.
We're talking about those millions and millions of illegals, undocumented people who belong to my community. Probably 80% of the undocumented belong to the Hispanics, the largest and fastest growing minority in the country. So why don't we give them dignity? Let them stay, those who do not have a criminal record. Let them continue contributing to the #1 economy in the world so we can continue being the #1 military in the world. If we don't have the economy, we don't have the guns, and we cannot defend ourselves.
So you need to pick those oranges, get those grapes so we can make those bullets. What are you talking about? Do you have any idea how asinine that sounds?
And what's interesting is, like, I do think a majority of America is probably in favor or aligned with her in the sense of, I don't know. I mean, people definitely wanted all the people who are here illegally who have committed criminal acts deported. Like that was like a no-brainer because Joe Biden, and we'll talk about Virginia in a little bit, because a lot of these leftist states have gone the opposite way. But I think if you ask them, like, hey, do you want someone who's here illegally, but they're like your nanny or they're like the person who's working at the store or whatever, I don't think there's as much popular support or enthusiasm for it. But when you are Salazar and you're kind of pushing it so aggressively and saying, no, you have to have them here because Americans aren't up to task, I think you actually start losing the argument.
Yeah, and I would say, and I feel very strongly about this, when you are aligned with the Democrats 90% of the time, maybe you need to reflect on the party you have now said you are a part of. You're not a Republican. You're just not. It's okay. Go with them. They like you. You're all standing around the podium outside. You know, you're all dressed up. You got your good for you. Great. Go jump ship. Okay. And I hear that you don't need ID to get in their party. So go ahead. You'll fit in just fine. They'll love you. Now,
hey, by the way, I should have said two female Republicans from the same state.
From the same state. So Kat Cammack, she's badass. I like her a lot. She does a lot of stuff often with zero F's given, which I kind of love.
Yeah.
And she came out the other day, and this is such a great point that I have to say I'm not even like, it's not even on my radar. And I was like, holy shit, that's a really good point, which is that we have all these senators and all of these congressmen and women, and they have staffers. Some of them have big staffs, some of them have smaller staffs, but nonetheless, they got people. And none of those people go through the vetting process that the elected officials go through. So she's like, yeah, we don't actually know who the staff is. We don't know who's on Capitol Hill. We want to take a closer look. And I was like, shit, that's a really good point. So this is Kat Cammack about foreign staffers.
It's pretty hard to serve the American people when you're being bankrolled by a foreign government. And we've seen instances where there have been foreign agents and dual citizens up here on Capitol Hill working. And of course, we don't really know the extent to which some of these people have nefarious items in their backgrounds, because the background checks aren't being done.
I mean, I was like, oh my God, that was such a mind-blowing comment. No. And I hate to say that and be ignorant to it, but it's just not on my radar.
So for people that don't know, Florida is actually like 4 different states. But so Maria Salazar is from like South Florida, which is its own thing. Yeah. Kat Cammack is from basically North Florida. She's actually from like the Gainesville, Alachua kind of area. And so she was the chief of staff to the guy who was in Congress before her, Ted Yoho, who was a large animal veterinarian. So he was kind of one of those like Tea Party, like, I'll put my hand up a cow's butt. What do I care saying no to a Democrat? You know, kind of one of those.
I remember Ted, yeah.
Yeah, Ted. Yeah. So she worked with him, and so she's kind of carrying on the legacy. My understanding is she's on the short list for people under consideration to be lieutenant governor, even when Byron Donalds, who's the front runner, and they've served in the House together. And so I've heard her be asked about it. I think she has a small child. She's excellent. And
I agree. She would be great.
She's carrying on that kind of Ted Yoho, no nonsense thing. She's real cool. And but just shows you like 2 Republican women from Florida, very different perspective. One's like, hey, let's let everybody kind of stay if they haven't committed any crimes. Kat Cammack was like, no, let's make sure they're not actively working as foreign agents from inside Washington, D.C.
I mean, thank you, Kat Cammack, for giving a shit about America. I'm so sick. And then we'll move on to the next thing. So sick of hearing about so many things that have nothing to do with what America is. I'm like, we've been around for 250 years. We've made a lot of mistakes on the way, because the only way you learn is to make those mistakes, right? That's like a lesson that all of us have heard 1,000 times, and I believe it to be true. And so as you make those mistakes, you go, we won't do that again. And I will tell you where we're at right now. This is the pivot, right? We're seeing all of these DSA, pro-Muslim, pro-illegal immigrant candidates, and it is frightening.
Well, and even actually, so it's interesting to see how it kind of breaks down regionally. So the person who's in charge of the Democrat Party in Florida is a woman named Nikki Fried. She was a candidate for governor a few years ago. She lost in the primary. But she even said, she's like, look, man, this DSA, the social stuff, it's not going to fly in Florida, specifically because we have too many people who live in Florida of Hispanic descent specifically who came from countries who actually are socialists. And they're like, we've seen it. We've seen socialism, communism fail. It might sound good to these overeducated people in these big cities, but that's not what we're going to be. So even Democrat leaders in Florida know that socialism, because you've actually tasted it here in Florida, unlike some of these rest of these places.
Well, Van Jones said it the other day on CNN. Which I was like, oh.
It's so fascinating to watch. I mean, I think it's a really important conversation, and I love that Democrats are the ones actually leading it.
Yeah, and speaking of CNN, we're going to go to Abby Phillips, another knucklehead with a TV show. I don't know. This woman is, to me, the thing that I dislike about her more than any other thing about her is how pompous and elitist she is while claiming she's one of us. I'm with the people. Ma'am, no, you are not. You are not with the people. You are the exact opposite of what we are. If I see you on the subway, I'm actually going to pass out.
You know what's funny is I had never really thought about calling her pompous, but she is pompous. And you know what? You know why she's pompous?
No.
She speaks too slowly. And when you speak this slowly, it's like, I'm in control of your time and I will finish my
thoughts
whenever I want. Yeah, it's like, bro, we have stuff to do. Okay,
yes.
Like, I know, but I hadn't thought about it. But it's a
yeah. She's very condescending. She's condescending to everyone on her show, honestly. And Scott Jennings, who I used to like before his mea culpa for dead Mitch McConnell, before that happened, I really liked Scott Jennings. And then he did that Kentucky thing, that good old boy thing where he's like, I talked to Mitch today.
I talked to Mitch in between his jumping jack sets. He was great.
Yeah.
He was great. Yeah.
By the way, he's training to be a SEAL. Did you guys hear that? I'm like, oh, cool. No, I hadn't. Anywho. But there's so much coming out right now about voter fraud. So obviously the president, you and I haven't spoken since the president made his address last Thursday. And, there was a lot of interesting things that came out. Those of us who are awake, alive, have a heartbeat and are paying attention already knew a lot of it. But there were a lot of people like, wait, what? What's going on? How did that happen? And then it's so interesting to see this backpedaling, right? We had the ABC, CBS's of the world. Now, CBS actually aired it, but only after they gave that very long intro of how they thought it was going to be bullshit. And they just wanted to let you know that it was going to be bullshit. And you're like, okay. But it was so sad to see the other networks say to their audience, we know what's best for you. And we don't believe that you can have independent thought or critically think on your own. So we're going to take this off your plate. Okay. You just go back, you watch Dancing with the Stars. We hear it's great tonight. Like that's literally what happened to millions of Americans who didn't see the speech. Meanwhile, all their information was stolen by China. So sidebar.
Yeah. Well, by the way, CBS is one of the few networks that even showed part of it. Like even Fox
100%.
Fox and Friends didn't talk about it the next morning. It's wild. And I think, again, they're all kind of gun shy because of the lawsuits.
Right. They're so worried about the lawsuit.
Dude, I did a show on, I won't say who or what network, but I will say I did a show that and I was told in my reaction to it to like, don't mention voting machines.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
No, they are telling you not to talk about it.
No, I know, because they don't want to get sued. But here is Abby Phillips talking about it, and even the mainstream networks. I think we should start referring to this as pulling a New Jersey, right? Because New Jersey was told by the Department of Justice not too long ago, hey, we think like tens of thousands of non-citizens on your voter rolls. Do something about it. New Jersey's like, nah, bro, we're good. And then
34,000. And this morning, did you hear what happened this morning with the software?
Well, they're trying to cancel it, but then New Jersey is basically forced to admit, okay, actually, we have at least 6,600 people who, thanks to a glitch, are registered, and we think at least 400 people have voted. So, like, that's what they're having to like, okay, maybe.
Right. So here's the funny thing, and then we'll get to Abby, she'll still be stupid in a minute, so it's fine. The best part about this is Mikey Sherrill, who's also a liar and a cheat, and did all sorts of nefarious things and blah, blah, blah. So we get to the spot now where she's got to stand up and say, yes, this happened. So they're actually estimating that it's somewhere between 35 and 40,000 that are actually on these rolls.
Yeah.
They're only speaking about the 6,600 and the 400 that voted.
No, I know. It's for this window of the glitch. Like
one window.
Forget the glitch, bro. It's like, no, it's like the whole thing is a glitch.
Right. The whole thing is completely and totally, fakaked, and you're lying and we need to move on. Right. But what's interesting about it is now that they're admitting it, right? So she's blaming it on the software. So the software company releases a statement this morning and says, this is absolutely not true. There is no glitch. every single person has to be approved by the Secretary of State and the governor's office to be on this list. So then it's like, oh, boom, mic drop. Now what? Now what do we do now that you've been called? Not to mention the fact that, guess what the number was that Jack Ciattarelli lost by in the previous gubernatorial, not this most recent one. Do you know how many votes it was?
Like 30,000?
40. 40,000 votes mysteriously materialized in a warehouse in New Jersey on the night of the election after it was predicted that he would win. I'm like,
no,
okay.
It's so ridiculous. Like, I mean, it's part of American lore that JFK found and fabricated ballots from like dead people in Chicago, and that's how he won the election in 1960. And I like how fast forward to 2026, we're like, no, New Jersey, totally safe. Everything's legit. You know, yes, The Sopranos was, but that show's over.
You're like, the Five Families, what? We're good. No. Anyhow, so just to set this up, so we have two clips here of Abby Phillips of CNN. So she's got, this is January, and she says there's no evidence of voter fraud. And then they mash up, this is from Mays on X. You guys know I love him. In July, just this past week, okay, there's some voter fraud, but it's not that bad, guys. That's literally what's happening. So no, it doesn't happen. There's no evidence to, I'm like, it happens, but like, it's cool, you know, like it's not that bad. So here she is.
He's been in office for a full year now. They have not come up with any of this purported evidence of voter fraud. You guys are in search of something that there's been no evidence exists. New Jersey is double checking its voter rolls tonight after a software error added 6,600 non-citizens to the voter rolls. The suggestion that this is fraud suggests that these people were trying to vote. Sometimes what happens is that when state systems are incorrect, people receive information and they are confused. Where some people who are ineligible to vote are not aware that they're ineligible to vote. I do think it's, whether it is widespread or not, matters. I do think that the numbers actually matter.
So someone else is trying to talk. I think it's probably Scott. And trying to interject and have a conversation, which she's never interested in. I don't know why. It's such a futile effort, but such bullshit the way she tried to like pass that off.
Well, I will say, I don't think she's wrong in the sense that I don't think like every non-citizen shows up and independently decides I'm going to go vote, because it is actually like a capital offense. If you're an illegal immigrant here or somebody who is not a citizen and you vote, it's like you're done. Like there's all kinds of crazy stories. I have many of them in my book. But what is true is they can oftentimes be the hapless victims of these organizer groups who don't care. They just want to get, you know, the same people who fight to keep the vulnerabilities in the system are the same people who go out and round up as many people as possible and shove all the votes through those vulnerabilities they fight to make sure exist. Like that is the playbook. And so I think it's really funny to call it a software glitch and not, you know, it's what's the old phrase? It's actually a feature, not a bug.
It's not a glitch. We meant to do that.
Right.
Thanks for asking. Moving on. Okay, so we have a few more things that we want to get to here. I'm not going to play this cut because it's really long, but Senator Mike Lee still holding the line. Just want to high level a couple of things on the SAVE Act that directly speaks to this topic, which is that we have until August 3rd to pass the SAVE Act, because that's within the 90-day period where we're not allowed to make any changes to the voter rolls due to the fact that we're coming up on a general election on November 3rd. So some people are saying it's August 7th, technically on the calendar. Whatever it is, it's the first week of August. It is, as of today, July 22nd. And what we've seen is, and I've had some conversations with some people that have had some meetings recently with President Trump. And in conversation with them, they've said, yeah, the president cares about one thing, and it's getting the SAVE Act passed. And so there were a few senators that were with the president last week during a walkthrough at the White House for something unrelated. And they were talking about the fact that Senator Thune wants everyone to go back to their districts and wants that August recess so that they can campaign.
Right.
And the president has responded and said, that's bullshit. You don't need to do that. You need to stay here. You need to work, and you need to pass the SAVE Act. If you pass the SAVE Act, you don't need to campaign. You don't need to do anything because your voters will vote for you. The only reason to not pass the SAVE Act is literally because you want to cheat. And that goes for everybody, right, left, and in the middle. If you don't want the SAVE Act, which 85% of Americans do, it's a bipartisan agreement which happens like, I don't know, every million years. There is no other issue where the United States of America goes, yes, this is it.
Yeah.
And they don't want to do it.
You played the Joe Rogan clip last week with JD Vance. He's like, I think they want to do this because they want to cheat. And JD Vance is like, yeah, probably. I don't understand why they don't. I mean, it seems like somebody could just hand John Thune that poll. Like 80% of people want this to happen. What is the problem, bro?
But we know now that John Thune is taking $1.58 million from a special interest lobbying group, which funds, dun, 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 illegal immigration labor.
Yeah.
So, and that's not up for debate anymore. That was released. It was released on AP and Axios and Fox and everybody else talking about the fact that he's taking this money.
But so to me, like, who cares? Okay, still use illegal immigrant labor. They don't have to vote. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, how hard is this? So like that's.
But it's
in fact, we're told by Abby Phillips and CNN they don't vote. So why is the problem? You know, it seems like you can still be in favor of election integrity. Like, you can be weak on illegal immigration, and because of the labor concerns, there's obviously the Chamber of Commerce, there's all these business groups who are on that side of this issue. Like, that is the thing. But they've got to be able to separate, and you think Donald Trump would be able to kind of weigh in and touch the right people to get to move something on this.
But I think to your point, and that is actually an excellent point, fine, keep your illegal labor, stop talking about them voting.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly the problem, right? They can't win without these fake votes. Whether you're a rhino or a Democrat, you've got to cheat. Because the American people want change. And the only way they can get change is to kick your shit to the curb. There is one pathway. Two. The first one is to bring the vice president in. The vice president sits as the head of the chamber of the Senate. He calls on someone other than scumbag Thune. They take over the floor and they start the talking filibuster. Second option is to have the sergeant at arms come, take over the floor, and they can also have a directive and start a talking filibuster without the need for a quorum. And then they would count the Democrats who didn't show up as absent. Now that, to me, I mean, shit, Maxine Waters and the other one, Winnipeg or Winifred, they've all been voting from home. You know what I mean? They're busy. They don't have time to come in. No problem. You don't want to stand. You don't want to talk. You don't want to defend your position. No problem. But it also comes down to they don't want to give up their vacation. They're not used to working. And Senator Rick Scott from your state just released an op-ed the other day. He goes, I want the Senate to work 5 days a week. Because here's what happens. They have their whole weekend. They fly on Monday to get back to DC from their local offices or home. Then they fly on Thursday or Friday to say that they're going home to work in their local offices, which they don't show up to. And then they're gone for the whole weekend. So they essentially work Tuesday, Wednesday, and half of Thursday.
And my understanding is like the August recess is going to be like 5 weeks. Like it's still after.
It's 5 weeks.
Yeah, it's still
They're
after
not
Labor
back
Day.
till September 14th.
That's insane.
September 14th. I am rabid about this issue. Absolutely rabid. And I feel like we as the American people have lost control when our president and the American people are agreeing and the people that are elected in between do not represent us. I'm like, okay, so what do we do?
Yeah.
I actually don't know what to do. And neither obviously does Mike Lee. Like Mike Lee's out there talking every day. And I'm like, Mike, Tuberville, Banks, where the hell is Cruz, by the way, Mr. Constitutional Conservative? He seems to be rather quiet. I'm like, are you in Cancun again?
I was going to say, dude, he'll never live it down. If he's not in Cancun, he might be in Tel Aviv. Oh, wait, different topic.
Yeah, 100%, bro. Do not get me started on Cruz. I'm like, if you want to go be a world tourist, have a nice day. Please go do it on somebody else's time. All right. So I want to go to something else here. This was a super weird find. This is called the man paddler.
I had to look it up. No, I just looked it up before the show. Yeah, but it stands for basically like a surface to air missile alert, essentially. And so you would think like you might get them. Speaking of Tel Aviv, they exist in Tel Aviv, right? You might get a man
exist throughout the Middle East.
Alert,
yes.
Yeah, throughout the Middle East, but you wouldn't expect to get it in like the Northeast of the United States of America.
So I have taken international flights where I have been on Singapore Air, Vietnam Air, El Al, and they'll say to you, I'm sorry, we can't land right now. We have an alert that there are surface to air missiles potentially going into airspace. And I was like, I'm sorry. I'm not understanding what's happening. And that's a real thing.
Yeah.
But this was over LaGuardia. So Buzz Patterson, who's a veteran and he has a lot of experience in this area, writes on X, he says, so you're flying into LaGuardia on your final descent and you get a man-pad alert, he's like, I've had them in the Middle East and in Bosnia, but New York, what the F are we doing? And he has the screenshot, which I'm going to play here. This is air traffic control talking to the pilots, warning them about this. It's like something out of a movie.
All right, Delta 2604, LaGuardia Tower. Wind 210 at 10, runway 22, clear to land. Man-pad alert issued at LaGuardia Airport at 0027. Use extreme caution.
All right, clear to land, runway 22, Delta 2604. And could you explain what a man-pad is?
Yeah, that's a man-portable air defense system. Yeah, it's basically it was a report of a rocket launcher.
Okay, where was that?
There was a report by the Port Authority Police. They said by, I believe, Terminal C. We've had conflicting reports, but nothing has been an issue as of yet.
Okay, Delta 2604, thanks for the information.
You're welcome. No need to respond, Delta 2064. Port Authority Police reported it was non-credible threat.
Delta 2604, thanks.
Yeah. So I don't know about you, but I think that's a load of shit. It's suddenly non-credible. I'm like, somebody just said, oh shit, these conversations are public.
Yeah.
And we can get these tapes. So we better just say this was nothing.
Well, I mean, and the first thing I thought of, you think about LaGuardia, I thought about that dude who's like putting the incendiary devices and then the fire next to the immigration building in New York City, right? So I was like, welcome to Mom Donnie's New York. You got rocket launchers at LaGuardia. You got fires outside of federal buildings downtown. Obviously, I don't know, we're having a little fun, but it just.
Well, just so you know, the liberal media has made it very clear it were just firecrackers.
Just firecrackers.
I'm like, they get the guy in custody and he goes, I will kill as many people as possible. I do not care. And MSNBC's translation of that is he just loves fireworks. I'm like, I'm sorry. Those are his words. Like, are you guys listening? Is this on? Like, what is happening? That's the stuff where I'm like, guys.
At the same time, my dad's like, we will arrest Benjamin Netanyahu. He's a war.
Yeah, exactly.
That's unrelated. I don't know why people are doing this.
Mohammed Abin Alim over here, he wants to blow everything up. He's fine. Totally fine. Just celebrating July 4th. A little late, but he's here. Anywho, give me a break. Okay, this is the dine-and-dash story. I definitely want to get to this because I can't stand that they had their kids there. Do you want to talk to this first?
Well, to me, it's so funny, like the stories that kind of make the news and you see it. Maybe you spend time online, spend time on Twitter, you see it. Yeah, like this, I saw the stage-gated exit of this family at this restaurant in Orlando. And then so the family, I guess, is now defending the fact that, to me, dude, if you piece out on a $300 bill, not okay. And so here's the owners of this restaurant saying, no, we're going to press charges because not only do we think like it matters, but we shouldn't be raising children in this kind of environment.
But also, to his point, which you're about to hear, they reach out to the family and they say to them, we're going to give you the opportunity to pay. It's $300+ in consumption. You're trying to raise your family, pay your bills. So are we. You know what I mean? Like, that's not fair. And they said no. That's why they released the tape. Because the family was like, yeah, piss off. We're not paying you shit. I'm like, oh, that's nice. So anyways, here's the report.
What are you hoping happens here? What are you What are you looking to have happen? Is it jail time, a fine? Do you just want them to pay?
For me, it's no longer about if they wanted to pay the bill. Initially, when I made that first call to them, they could have called back and said, yes, you know what? I messed up. I will pay this bill. And the video would have never even been posted. Mm-hmm. But at this point, for me, it's deeper than just paying the bill. It's the principle of the matter. And what I don't like about it is that they did this with kids. So yes, I do. I'm pressing charges. And I want them to learn their lesson because this is not okay.
And I just really, personally, it's a lesson learned. Like, you need to realize that everything catches up with you. You're living your life like this, but you shouldn't be doing it with the kids. That's number one. Number two, at some point, it's going to stop. So I'm hoping that these two people realize, hey, this isn't the way we want to live and make a change. That's all. Honestly, if one person changes out of this, I'm happy.
So I love her, right? Her effort is noble. But I will say, and I'm going to make this our last story of today because it's a high note story, right? We're going to crush the scumbags that want to teach their kids how to steal. And what do they call it? Dine-and-dash.
Dine-and-dash. I like how you're like, oh, what do we call it? I've never heard of this concept before.
Let me tell you something. I'm an over tipper because I was a server for a long time. So
okay, well let me just say this. Okay, if this is our last story, then I'll give you like, what's your take on the tipping? Like first, like I'm glad these people are being held accountable, but the tipping, like I agree, like we should tip well, tip generously, but bro, what happens when you go to the restaurant and you're ordering a to-go thing, and then you have to tip first? To me, it's incredibly presumptuous because, like, I'm tipping on a thing I haven't actually received yet. So you're, like, placing a bet. You know what I mean? Like, is this going to take 2 minutes? Is it going to take 20 minutes? Am I allowed to go back and get money back from my tip if I've given you a big tip on, like, a to-go order and you suck at it? Like, I just feel like it's, like, you're a little arrogant about how good you're expecting this service to be if I'm tipping you before you've actually then given me the thing. I like the restaurants where it's like, this thing is done. We know what our terms are. And so we can now, like, I'm allowed to make an informed decision. But I think I'm not a big fan of the speculative tipping.
So are you referring to that when you do like a DoorDash or a Grubhub? Or are you talking about when you order directly from the restaurant?
I don't know how much money you think I got, Lynda, but I ain't got it like that. Okay. I'm not doing this DoorDash Grubhub business. But I'm saying, like, when you go to like a pizzeria, where you order at the counter or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you like you order a thing and like, I'm now going to wait.
So I do not tip when I
order. Or like even like a food truck. You know what I mean?
No.
Like, yeah.
Well, food trucks are different because typically, so I tip, there's two things I do. I'll tip you for the effort of cooking because you are cooking. You are making me food. You're taking that burden off of me. And so I'm paying you for the food you're providing and the service you're providing. Now, if I eat said food and it's like the jam, then I'll go back and I'll tip more. Once I know that the food is good, and I go back to the same place again and again, I'm like, yeah, I know it's going to be good. Like, I personally, I know it's not good for you and I don't eat it often, but my favorite food is sushi. I love sushi. I could eat sushi every day. I don't because it's not healthy, but moving on. But I know the spot where I get it from. And when I get it, I always give them a nice tip because it's always fresh. It's always good. It's amazing. Yada, yada, yada. But then if it's like a new spot, I'm like, no, I'm not tipping you shit because it could taste like shit. And then I'm screwed. And then I paid you $20 and I'm going to have food poisoning. So, that sucks.
No, I mean, the takeaway from this is I'm held hostage by my over evaluation of how much I think people care about what I do. So that's it. You know what I mean? That's it.
Well, Eric, I enjoyed this show with you. We cover a lot of stuff. We had some heavier stuff to get to, but I don't think we're going to get to it today because it is heavy. Maybe we'll do that next week. He is Eric Eggers. I am Lynda McLaughlin at Eric_Eggers, at Lynda Mick, at Rogue Recap, roguerecap.com. This is episode 13, Eric, just so you know, lucky number 13. So we will see you guys next week.